Alright, welcome back to the Supercoach Nuff channel. In this video we're going to review round 8 of the 2025 NRL Fantasy season. So an okay week, probably a bit underwhelming, but you see a 949, you think, oh, I'm doing pretty well. But it was 50,000th ranked for the round, and we've slipped now outside the top 20k. So a couple of weeks ago we were sitting pretty on the verge of the top 10,000 overall, and we've just been on the slide in fantasy, sort of coinciding with our rise in Supercoach. But I think it comes down to perhaps being a bit too trusting of a couple of certain assets. So in terms of our team this week, Mamazalis continues to go well with a 54. Isaiah Yeo with a 50 was solid, but the other two mids, Terrell May 104, Payne Haas 97, just been absolutely immense. And I think, at least until Origin, when obviously Payne will no longer be in the team, I think these two are the set and forget captain, vice captain picks each week. They're just going too good. Dylan Egan, I guess 33 seems a little bit underwhelming considering how well he has been going, but no need to panic on that. Mitch Barnett with a 48 continues to sort of, just move along. Nothing too fancy going on there. Metcalf with 69 points was good though, making a bit more cash. Cleary as captain was a bust, only getting 56. So, compare that to a lot of players would have captained one of these guys. That's 100 points left on the table, and well into the 1,000 point region. And wings and centres was okay. Nwanga Nitawasi and Lucas 40s, solid. Kiraz second half was good, 35. Mazu with 40 was okay, made a bit more money. And Kalen Ponga is just struggling at the moment, 22, but we'll back him to bounce back. And then on the bench, Savala, 57 was really good. Obviously getting a try helped boost his score. Purdue we brought in as a bit of a luxury cash grab. Made a bit of cash. How much exactly, I'm not too sure. Should have probably looked. So 60k, which is nice. We'll take that. And still has a decent break even, I think, going into this week. So happy with that move. Tom Gilbert bounced back with the 64. So I know they were missing a lot through the middle with the likes of Plath, Marshall King out. So I didn't see the game. I didn't see how much he actually went into the middle or if he just stuck fat on the edge. But might have bought himself a couple more weeks in the team. Tom Jenkins was only scored a 22, but I forgot to look at it on Sunday and didn't loop in Toa with his 38. So we cost ourselves a few points there too, which was disappointing. But in terms of, not trades, sorry, leagues is what I'm after at the moment. Leagues, so Westy got me with 1,036 this week. So as I said, probably left 1,000 on the table by not picking the right captaincy. So yeah, he captained Terrell May, which was a great move. Couchman with 44. So I guess compared to Barnett was a bit down, but that's been a great call this season. Cleary and Savala in the halves covers what I had. I probably had slightly better in the centres. But Fletcher Sharp outpointing Mazu and Paps outpointing Kiraz. And then on the bench, I guess, was the big difference. So the likes of Nicholson and Horsburgh going well. But Aaron Clark with an 81 was massive. 630k. But as a sort of hooker that has a bit more of a solid base, in terms of runs as well as tackles, I don't hate the pick. And Siwa Wong with the 45 was a solid bench option as well. So yeah, it was just those sort of differentials, particularly on the bench, getting the job done there. If we have a look across the league, so massive 11.29 for Shano and his guns. How do you get 1100 in fantasy? That's unreal. Captain May for a start. Um, yeah, Mamazel's Couchman. I guess a lot of familiar faces here. Had Garrick with a 58, but then the bench, Horsburgh, Smith, Bo Fermor with a 109. That's immense. And even had Savala on the pine. So absolutely smashed it this week, Shano. Well done, mate. Too good. In the other league, so another 1,000 for the Yorkshire Yowies Marks team. So again, Captain Terrell May. Um, had Hines score a 60, so outpointed Cleary in the halves. Had Nicholson. The wing fullbacks were better. Garrick Sharp, even Tamale with a 47. Had Aaron Clark on the bench. Had Sandon Smith miss out. Oh, that's a bit stiff. Could it? Yeah, I guess could have swapped in Hubner or no, not Walsh, but Hubner for Jenkins. Got that 75, so probably left a few points on the table there too. So well done, Mark. Got the win. But I guess looking at the rest of the second league, another 1100. So Crocodile Dumfries 11-12 this week. So Captain Haas. Olaquatu with the 78. Jamal Fogarty with the 73 was a great score. Munster scored well too, 62. And then had Savala and Smith the double loop on the bench. How good. So don't know how that was going to work considering the other players weren't playing either. I guess trade-ins would have covered there, but no need when you've got that power coming off the bench. Fantastic. So in terms of the trades this week, if I go back to my team, so I guess initially the plan was, we've got probably one too many centres at least, so probably going to get rid of Toa this week, and we were talking about trying to maybe use Gilbert's money to get us someone like a Mitchell Moses in the halves. I guess ideally, given how it's fallen, we would like to chop Toa and Jenkins, but that does only give us 900k to play with. So even if we were to go a bottom dollar option at 230k, still only gives us 680 at most. So we're missing out on a Tarpany. Like a Preston would go off this week, I imagine, against the Gold Coast. Um, into like a Farmworth. Again, we don't really want a centre. We do want a half, so the target was he's probably not listed here due to the I should be on average, he should be fairly high up, but I don't know. What did Moses score last week? 51. So Moses is at 700, so just out of reach in that sense. Even to like a Nico Hines at 720 still is a bit too far. Isaiah Katoa would be a stretch at 672, but we don't hate the pick. Averaging 53, pretty solid. So there's a couple of different ways we can go. We can go a little bit, deeper down the list, like Galvin. He doesn't really have the base, so we are relying on him doing some attacking stuff to get the points. But if we go a bit further, yeah, so we're starting to get into the real sort of pod territory, like Clifford. If he was going to go big, it would have been last week against the Titans. So, someone like a Gray, or actually, I think he might be a little bit higher. Might have gone past. No, not that high. But someone like a Fletcher Sharp is a little bit cheaper as well. Not sure where he is though on the list. Surely he's not this low given his price. Should be around here somewhere. Oh yeah, Sharp, there you go, averaging 54. So a little bit, again, more of a needs the upside to make it work. But, he's averaging 54 this year in the same team that they're all playing in. So that's something. Um, so it'd be something like that, and then a bottom dollar cheapie. But we are probably relying more on it. A cheapie actually popping up. There's not too much at the moment at that bottom dollar. So we might have to go a little bit left field potentially if we are going to trade, because I guess that's the other alternative is do we really need to trade these guys? Maybe once we get access to break evens we'll be able to do a bit more, but I might have to search by name. That's going to take forever scrolling through there. So what I'm thinking is with the matchup against the Titans, someone like a Bailey Haywood at 400k probably slots in the 6, given that Burton is going to be out for a week. And when he has played the big minutes, so if we go to his profile, the match stats, so those 80 games, 50, 41, admittedly only 29 against the Knights. But then 64 minutes on the weekend and got 37. And Serraldo basically said he was the best player on field, which I guess, given how poor they were in the first half, it probably was going to be someone come off the bench that was going to be their best. So I guess another 80-minute game this week, and could be a useful one through Origin as well, just given that Burton probably plays 18th man. He's that perfect 18, bench cover, which does rule him out for the Bulldogs games in round 12, 15, 18. So we could do something like that. So it would have to be Toa out for Haywood. So I'll just bring him back in. And, I sort of wanted to get out of Jenkins as well. That pick's not really working out. So there's, again, a couple of ways we could do this. So if we do want to go like for like and have a bit more of a wing fullback cover, players we can afford. So obviously the likes of a Tamale still got a little bit of money to make, but against the Storm this week, we don't know if there'll be a lot to come from that. And after that, it's all much of a much. Just like Robert Derby should make a bit of money, scored a 73 on the weekend, but again, he's probably already made a lot of it in that 60k jump that he's made this week. So, it's probably not a must, but it's an option. It's not the worst shout. It's just not the necessarily the best shout either. And then we're getting real deep into the cheapy type options. So I guess perhaps like a Finau, it is a profit on Jenkins, and he does have that potential plan on that left wing outside of Holmes, Gutho, that sort of thing. So we could bank a little bit of cash there. And I guess, there is always the option of that third trade, so we do have to lock those two in first. And then, we could potentially upgrade a Gilbert. But as I said, want to have a little bit more of a look at his role. So 722, which does get us to those halves that we've looked at. So a Hines, a Sharp, Katoa, Moses. And I guess if we can afford him, he's definitely going okay enough. 100k down overall, but I think Hines isn't going to get too much cheaper. So that could really shore up our halves. We're pretty well set through the middle and the edge. We've still got Hopgood there. But Haywood covers in the middle. Might be a little light on the edge now. Well, we've got Dylan Lucas, and we're well covered at centre, so that's probably okay. So we could use 3 trades. Don't know if that's the best strategy at the moment, but Hines does play round 12. Haywood, as I said, should feature round 12. I don't think Finau does, but it's more of a cash generation type pick. So the play this week, and it's a case of, well, who do you leave out? And I think it's going to be Purdue. So, if we push Hines on field, it's like that bench is not the worst. Couple of playmaking halves. Haywood can do a bit on that edge, and against the Gold Coast, it could be some attacking stats there for him playing 80. Hopgood obviously solid through the middle. And then, we've still got the cover for our wing fullbacks on the bench. Obviously, Mamazela's cover as well. So, yeah, I think it's not the worst position to be in. And then captain, vice captain, I'm going to go Terrell May. And just because it's at Suncorp, all the games at Suncorp, so Payne Haas captain. Against Penrith as well, he'll be up for a big one. And the way Penrith's going, he could absolutely tear them up through the middle, which you'd love to see. Unless you're a Penrith fan, of course. So yeah, so the team will basically be something like that. As I said, trades are just initial thoughts. But yeah, don't really know. We'll look at break evens. We'll look at team lists tomorrow. We'll do the preview on Thursday, and obviously we'll have a better idea by then. But we'll wrap the video up there. So as always, if you've got any questions, comments, thoughts, feel free to add them below this video. Give us a like if you enjoy the fantasy content. Subscribe for all the fantasy content on the channel. And other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.